Today we'll look at the maximum useful work that we can get from a system um, given a particular environment and given that you are exchanging heat with a certain heat source or sink, and the environment temperatures are known. So, and the question that we want to answer is that the maximum useful work that we are supposed to get from this system thermodynamically, are we able to achieve that? Okay. So if it's a work producing device and if it is working in a reversible manner, then you are going to get the maximum work output from that. So that is the limit. So it would be very interesting to see whether the design that we have done for our power plant or our turbine or our compressor, are we able to achieve that? If we are able to achieve that, that means there is no friction loss, there is no other loss in the system. That means our second law efficiency is 100%. It is different from the first law efficiency. In the first law efficiency, what we said is for a work producing device, we get heat from a high temperature source and we see how much of that is being converted to work. As you know, from second law, all the heat cannot be converted to work. So that is why our power plants run at maybe 30–40% efficiency. So, but that does not tell us whether we have designed we have realized the full potential of the power plant or not. So the second law efficiency really tells us whether we have reached the full potential of that device, whatever is thermodynamically possible. So that is why we want to know what is the maximum useful work from a system. To do that, if you look at it mathematically, then we can see here that as we have done in the past yesterday. So this is the change in energy inside the uh, volume, and this is the, if you look at the picture again, this is the energy exchange with some heat source or sink, and this is the energy heat that you receive from the uh, environment, and this is the change in energy, and this is the change in entropy, and this is entropy. This is entropy coming in, energy coming in, energy going out, entropy going out, along with the mass. This is a real system, and if we want to make it reversible, because there is a change in temperature between the environment and the system, so we have put a reversible heat engine so that there is no loss, right? But we have the same change of state and same energy or entropy coming in and going out. Okay. So what we have found out is that if we use the first law and the second law, and also take into account the fact that the surrounding entropy change is will depend on, this is my surrounding. So the surrounding is losing Q dot Cv at temperature T0. Right. So, so if you look at the surrounding, then the surrounding is, so here, so this is also coming from surrounding here. See, you can see this is coming from surrounding. This is coming from surrounding. This is also going into surrounding. So this is one, and this is one. These three together, right? So these three together, this one, and this one, affects the surrounding. So let us do it. So that's we have found out. So this affects the surrounding. So we have all these three equations. So if we do that, then we can do all this analysis, and then we will find out the W dot Cv, right, is equal to m dot I, and we have this quantity here, H minus T0S kinetic energy, potential energy. And here also H minus T0S kinetic and potential energy. And inside the system also U minus T0S kinetic energy, potential energy. These are some important quantities that we have. And this work that you get out of it, our interest is now work, useful work that we can get. So this is also, because of the heat transfer, as we know, all the heat is not being transferred to work. So some is subtracted and the rest is converted to work. So this also is contributing to the work. And some work is lost because of the entropy generation. So this is all the heat is not being converted. So 1 minus some amount is being converted to work. And because of this entropy generation loss, right, we are having less work output. Now let us see what is the reversible work, right? And if this is the reversible Q. Let us look at it. And this is the environment temperature, and pressure is also known, environment pressure. So if we do that, so if we look at the reversible work, if we do this analysis, then this is the coming in. This is same as before. This is going out, same as before. This is the change inside, same as before, this term. This term is also there, right? So this is the Qj. This is the heat transfer with the sources and sinks, right? And this is the extra term, right, that we have. So so this is the reversible work. We can calculate the reversible work. So what is the lost work? The reversible work that you get is the maximum work that you can get out of an engine, right? A work producing device, and minus the real work. The difference between them is what you have lost. And you can see that that will come out to be equal to T0 is the environment temperature. Will come out to be the environment temperature. Multiplied by the entropy generation. And how do you calculate the entropy generation? Another way of looking at it is the change in entropy of the control volume inside the control volume, change in entropy of the surrounding, and change in entropy of the heat source and heat sink, right? Because the heat source is losing heat, we have said minus, so this is the change in entropy of the heat sink. So this is of heat source sink, whatever it is. Okay. So these entropy changes that we can have, because here we have, if you look at it carefully, what do we have here? We have the environment, we have this source sink, and we have the control volume. These three together, these two, whatever is remaining is the surrounding. So all three, if we add, we get the net entropy change, right? So net entropy change is control volume, surrounding, and this for the source or sink. Multiply by T0 gives you this. So this we have obtained through equations. So this is called the lost work or irreversibility. Now, that means if the entropy generation is 0, then the actual work will be equal to reversible work. Now, so this is for a work producing device. What we have is, for a work producing device, the reversible work output is more than the irreversible work output. Now, if it is the other way, if it's a work consuming device, consuming. So if it's a work consuming device and it is not, if there is friction in the device, right? For example, you're running a um, uh, pump using an electric motor. So if the pump vanes, and that is a work consuming device, if the pump has lot of friction in it, you will need to put in more energy, more work, right? So for a work consuming device, the actual work or irreversible work is more than the reversible work. It is the other way. For a work producing device, reversible work is the maximum, right, that you can get. And the actual work can be less. But in the case of a work consuming device, the reversible work is the minimum that you require, reversible work. And the actual work can be more. So that is understood even through common sense and also through theory, because then what will happen is this reversible work here will be negative. This will also be negative. And this always has to be positive. So if both are negative, then of course dWCV has to be more than d work, right? If it is negative. I'm talking about in the magnitude sense. Now, let us see the work that you are getting out of it. Suppose that control volume is not a rigid control volume. It is like a piston. Right? So when the piston expands against the environment, right? So for some process, now, that work is not useful work. That goes to the environment, is lost. You cannot run anything with that expansion. So let me again explain what I mean. Right. So let me see what I mean. So like you have lost the energy that you receive, heat energy, some is lost heat energy, the rest is what you get out of work, irreversible. Similarly, if your piston is expanding, right, you cannot get all the work is not useful, right? So that against the environment, whatever work you do against the environment, that is not something that you can use. It gets lost to the environment. Nothing can be done. So this part P0 into change in the control volume, that part gets lost. Say for example, to give you a proper example, say I have a piston cylinder arrangement, right? I have this. It's my piston. On the piston, I have some weight, some M mass, and the environment that I have, right? And there is also a pressure P0. So now inside there is some pressure P1, right? So this pressure, right, has to be more than P0 and also has to, the mass that you there, mg is the weight. Only if it can overcome both, then only it will move. Now out of that, what you cannot, so what is the useful work is whatever is being used to take the mass upward. So you're giving potential to the work, that is useful. You are raising the mass, right? But you are also doing some work against the environment, that is lost, that is not useful to you. So this part is useful, right? This part is useful. So what, this is useful part and this is lost part, right? Lost, and this is useful. So P0 into the change in control volume, that part is lost. And the extra pressure that you have to raise, that is the useful one. So the what is lost, you have to let it go. So this is P0 and the change in control volume that is lost, not utilized to raise the mass by a certain amount. So now you understand why I'm calling this as a loss, right? So that is a loss. So if we consider that as a loss, so this is the ambient pressure and the change in volume of the control volume, right? Now, if it's some kind of a shaft work, you don't need to change the volume, the control volume, the volume of the control volume. If it is electric work also, there is no need. So when you have shaft work or electric work, then this will not contribute. You are not going to change the control volume. But if you have some kind of piston moving, then some part gets lost to the environment, some part is useful. So if we are talking about useful work, we must subtract this also, right? So we have subtracted this. So reversible useful work. So this is useful work and this is reversible useful work. That means this is what is lost to the surrounding. So this is a better, better estimate of the useful work for a control volume which is either shrinking or expanding. Now we have a little bit of modification here, right? So this one is the term. Now this is the term now. It is same as before, but this term has changed, right? We have this term here, right? P0V. This term is there, P0V. Okay, that change in the volume of the control volume, and P0 is the environment temperature. Now, and of course, this is the contribution of the heat source heat sink, right? So this is from the heat source. So these are the things that we have to take care of to be able to estimate the reversible useful work or just the useful work, irreversible useful work. Now we introduced two different terms, right? So this one is called non-flow exergy. So we have introduced two different terms. One is non-flow exergy and flow exergy. So what is non-flow exergy? This is the when there is no flow, then this is the maximum work that we can get. So this is the potential to do work when there is no flow. So you can now, you're familiar with this term, U minus T0S P0V half V square GZ. So if there is no flow, so this is 0 and this is also 0, right? And we are not talking about this source and sink. Then this is called the non-flow exergy. This is the non-flow exergy. And what is this? This is the, and what is this? This is the same quantity at dead state. Dead state means if the state of this system becomes equal to the environment. After that, you cannot extract any more work out of it. This is the base, right? This is the datum or the minimum. So this minus this value. How do you estimate this value? This is the internal energy, specific internal energy of the environment at the temperature of the environment, right? This one. This is the temperature of the environment. This is the specific entropy of the environment. This is the pressure of the environment. This is the specific volume of the environment. So given the environment conditions, so it depends on a function of P and ambient, 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 right? PT ambient. So this depends on the PT ambient, right? So dead state. So this minus this, we call it non-flow exergy. And you now know where it comes from and the basis of arriving at this. And the flow exergy is H minus T0S, H minus T0S, half V squared Gz. And this is the dead state. This is the specific enthalpy. This is also a function of P and T of ambient. So these two new terms we have coined. One is called non-flow exergy and the flow exergy. So then we can very easily write the reversible useful work and the irreversible or actual useful work. So this is the flow exergy. This is in, right? In and out, right? In minus out, flow exergy. This contributes to the work, useful work. And this is the non-flow exergy. Non-flow exergy, it's a minus sign here, right? You have a minus sign here. This is a non-flow exergy. And this is the term, this is the contribution from the heat source or sink, right? This is called the heat exergy. So this is right. So any reduction in the non-flow exergy is going to give you useful work. Right? Any reduction in the non-flow exergy of the system, right, will resist because this is being converted to work. So any reduction will give you work. And also whatever is coming in, flow exergy that is coming in, right, in minus out, the net coming in. So this gives you net in, right, net in, right, net in can also be converted to work, and reduction inside the control volume can also be converted to work. And if you are getting heat from a source, some of it, not all of it, can also be converted to work. So this is what it means. Now, if you have irreversibility, you also have due to irreversibility. This is due to irreversibility. So if you have some irreversibility, so that gets destroyed. The exergy, if we have coined the term exergy, so we say that exergy is destroyed. So the capability to do work has been somewhat destroyed by this amount. So now we have flow exergy, so net coming in. So this is net in, right? And this is the reduction in non-flow exergy within the system that is contributing to useful work. This is the heat exergy coming from a source. This is some of it, one minus that is giving you some work, and some is being destroyed. So if you want to analyze what is the potential of a work producing device to generate work, you can do this analysis very easily. And you know how to calculate this term, psi I, psi E, so and phi. So this you can calculate. These are all dependent on the state, right? And of course the kinetic and potential energy. So these are all can be easily calculated. So what we have done is we have put in a very useful form which can be very easily understood also. And where, how much is this S dot generation? This S dot generation, one easy way to calculate this S dot generation is equal to S dot control volume plus S dot, so all the different control volumes, say right, all the control volumes and S dot surrounding. S dot surrounding. So if you put it together, you get all the S dot generation. Because whenever there is some heat transfer from the environment to the control volume, right, while the uh, entropy of the control volume changes, so does the entropy of the surrounding. Right. So if you put them all together, that is the entropy generation. So all these things can be this also can be very easily calculated, right? So this is our story of the useful work and exergy, concept of exergy. Now this term U minus T0s, H minus T0s is also useful in another sense. So this is the concept of exergy balance. So exergy balance means we can also think of it like this: total exergy in. This is in, and this is exergy out, right? And this is the system exergy increase. So you can write it in this way also, because then it becomes very similar to the way we were writing the energy equation. Right? So this is the system exergy increase. This is the exergy in, exergy out, and exergy destroyed. Right? So we can think of it like this also, because then the writing is very similar to our here, right? Change in energy inside on the left hand side, and right hand side we talk about all the transfers. Similarly here, change in entropy inside the control volume, and we on the right hand side we write all the transfers. Right. Similarly, you can also write it, and it's much easier to remember probably if you write it like this. Right. Change in system exergy is exergy in, exergy out, exergy destroy. Right. And if it is reversible, right? So this system exergy increase is this, and exergy out, there is nothing destroyed. So this you can write it in this form also. Now another place where we use this concept of G, right, gives free energy, is this, right? H minus Ts. H minus Ts. So here, so this I'll just on passing, I will explain this later when we talk about phase change and things like that, right? So here, this term, right, is called, you must know that this is called gives free energy. We will use it later on. So this is the gives free energy, right? So capital H means when you multiply by mass. So S, capital S also means human. So this H minus T0S is also the Gibbs free energy, and it has another use. We will deal with that later. So just you can know that when there is a phase change, during phase change, because during phase change we know that the solid and liquid is in equilibrium if it's melting, or the vapor and the liquid is in equilibrium when it is evaporating. So during that time, the delta G change is 0. So that is at equilibrium. So at equilibrium, it is the delta G does not change. So, and you can calculate that also. So when there is a change from F to G, liquid to vapor, right? So we know the delta HFG, the change in enthalpy is equal to T into Tg. Tg is the, because Tg is the T saturation. You're now familiar with these terms, right? It's a constant at constant temperature, from liquid to vapor. So this, we know that this is equal to this, so it is 0. So Gibbs free energy does not change during phase change, and so this uh, Gibbs free energy we use to find out the equilibrium, phases, right? So it's just on the passing. We'll deal more with it later on. But so this is a very important quantity, H minus T0S and U minus T0S. It is used in many places. Okay, let us end it here. So do you have any questions? Hello, all of you have understood, because this is a little bit difficult, part of thermodynamics. I hope you have all understood. Otherwise, you can again go through it. Let us try to do some problems. So in this case, you can see, so if you have a work producing device like a turbine, right? So there's work transfer, there is heat transfer, and it's a single stream, one coming in and one going out. So this is a steady flow. So if you want to find out what is the maximum work that turbine you can get from this turbine, and in the environment temperature is T0, this is how you can calculate it, right? Mass is known, whatever is phi is coming in, whatever is going out. So this is the, and then this is the Q, heat transfer. So this way, and here destroyed is 0, right? There is reversible. So this way you can very easily calculate what is the maximum work that you can get out of your turbine if you have designed it very well, right? So this is the, this is very useful in this case. And we want to know, when you get it from the manufacturer, I would like to know, its performance, that we know what is the condition of the steam going in, the condition of the steam going out, and if our insulation that we have, if it is not the best, there'll be some heat, transfer through the insulation. Then we can make an estimate of the reversible work, and then we can measure the actual work, and then we will know whether the what are the irreversibilities inside the turbine because of friction and all that, whether they have, bearing and other, they have designed uh, the channels, the blades efficiently. you know if the blades are not aerodynamically shaped, well designed, there'll be losses, right? So a good, well designed turbine, the work output should be much more closer to the reversal work that you can. So it is very useful. So, so, let us see whatever we have learned, where do we use it? One thing I have told you, the work that you get, flow work, right? This is some of the things that I want to What is this? This is steady state. Steady flow. Steady state means the change of state within the control volume, and steady flow means whatever is coming in is going out. So that is steady state, steady flow process. So for a steady state, steady flow process, the work done, say for example, I'm running some sort of a pump, say here. I have a pump. So this, by now you know, this is the liquid. This is this liquid side, right? This is the liquid and this is a vapor, right? So say I'm compressing from uh, right, some pressure to another pressure. So this is P2 and this is P1, right? P2 and P1, right? So I'm compressing. So this pump that I have, it goes from 1 to 2 in the liquid state. So in the liquid state, if I do, so here this is VDP because pump is a flow in, flow out process. So it is not PdV, VDP. And we also know for a liquid, right, the specific volume does not change. So it will be V and delta P. Delta P means P2 minus P1. So this will give a very accurate, quick answer, right? So quick answer. So this is the this is one way of calculating the work. And if you do your first law of thermodynamics, then also from there also you can get the work. So that means this is the enthalpy out minus enthalpy in, right? This is also the work if you apply the first law from first law, right? From the first law. So this is also we have done this derivation. So some example. Now here, now I was talking about the turbine. Now, what is the second law efficiency? Second law efficiency. Efficiencies. So this is called so this is the sign for efficiency, second law efficiency. So this is the maybe I should use this something like. So this is the actual, right? Actual work, and this is the reversal work. So for a work producing device, the reversal work is more than the actual work. So what is the work that you can get out of this turbine, right? So H1 and H2. So enthalpy is changing. There is no Q is 0. Q is 0. So then the work output will be the equal to the change in enthalpy, right? This is and this is the change in. So this is in joules per kg. Right? Specific. This is also joules per kg. So this is the flow due to flow exergy, right? Coming in and going out, flow exergy. So this is a steady state, steady flow process. So this is the actual work and this is the ideal reversal work that you could have got out of it. Okay. Now H1 minus H2, uh, the uh, uh, the work, right? The right. So this is the this is how you can. So this is my second law efficiency or a work producing device for work producing device, right? For work producing device. So this is for a work producing device. And now if we talk about a compressor, what is a compressor? It's a work consuming device. So in a work consuming device, the reversible work that is required will be the minimum, right? And the actual work, if there is irreversibility inside, will be more. You have to spend more. So, so for a work producing device, or consuming device. Consuming device. It is the, this is the definition, right? Second law efficiency. Work producing and work consuming device. So we are able, now this is another way of finding out how well the equipment has been designed. Let us look at a heat exchanger. What is heat exchanger? You have some hot fluid passing through some pipe, and you have another cold fluid passing through another pipe, and they exchange heat, right, from the hot pipe to the cold pipe. So this loses little bit of heat, this gains little bit of heat. This is the cold stream and the hot stream. Hot stream gets cooled and the cold stream gets heated. So here, so let us look at what is the potential for now here we don't have work transfer exactly, right? We have to look at it differently. So the hot stream, it is losing some potential to do work. But of course, here there is no work, there is heat transfer, but it has some potential to do work. So that it is losing it. So 1 minus 2. Are we able to, whatever we have lost from here, the potential to do work, because heat energy, that you use, like this hot stream, the heat that you are getting from this high temperature source could have been used to produce some work. So that is its potential to do work. Here I am just heating up something else. I could have also used it to, the heat that I'm losing at this high temperature, I could have used it to run a Carnot cycle and get some work out of it. So that is its potential to do work. Right. So this is this potential to do work. And here what is happening is this is the cold stream. Okay. So here it is gaining, say, because it is being heated up, it is gaining its potential to do work. Right. So that is H4 minus phi 4 minus phi 3. Right. So an m dot cold. So if so, this would also give us that are we are spending something, right? How much are we getting out of it? Right? So this ratio would give me the second law efficiency, that heat exchanger. So this is the heat exchanger, right? So this is spent. This is ulta ho gaya. So whatever we are spending, are we able to gain it? This cold, this is getting heated up, this is getting cold. So this ratio also will gives us the second law efficiency of the heat exchanger. So here, the difference between them, if you do it, you will see the difference between them, right? So is the entropy generation, right? This is the entropy generation. right? So this is the entropy generation. So here what is happening is, because of this, if this entropy generation was zero, then what would happen? The heat lost by the hot fluid would have been equal to the heat gained by the uh, you know uh, heat gain is not the problem. Whatever heat is being transferred here. So let me make it very clear. You may be thinking that the heat is getting lost. No, this is the Q. There's no heat loss. It's all coming here. Why is it different? See here, we are losing heat from a high temperature source. High temperature source has a lot of potential to do work. And we are transforming that heat to a low temperature, right? Fluid. So heat that is coming from a high temperature has more potential to do work. Why? You imagine the Carnot cycle. In the Carnot cycle, we get the heat from the high temperature, right? The higher the temperature, let us look at the efficiency of a Carnot cycle. Now, these are things to be understood. When we talk about the potential to do work, this comes from the high temperature source. The higher the temperature, right, the better the conversion. So higher the temperature, TH, if it's higher, right, then we get more work output. So higher the temperature, the better it is, right? So what is happening here is, we were getting heat from a very high temperature source, which is very good, and we have transferred it to a little bit colder liquid. So this is not, it has lost its potential to do work, right? But if these two temperatures are very close, then what will happen? Then the efficiency will be better. So because whenever you have heat transfer across a temperature difference, you have entropy generation, right? So here, because of, but if you can make both of them equal temperature, then how will you have the heat transfer? But if you can do it, then it'll be far more efficient, right? But the heat transfer amount will come down. See, efficiency is one thing, but if if you don't have enough heat transfer, that is also bad. So there is a uh, balance that you have to maintain. Now, but suppose uh, here there is some this is some condensation taking place. This hot stream is condensing, say, right? If it's condensing, then what happens is these two temperatures can be very close. So when you have a condenser or a evaporator, that heat transfer is the best, right? If one of the streams is either condensing or evaporating, at that time, at constant temperature, you can give out heat. So that is the most efficient heat exchange, right? Say, if you see, many a times we use steam, for in the process, in any food making, food preparation and all that, we use steam. Why do we do that? Because that heat transfer, when you're boiling something, that heat transfer is very good. Or if you're condensing steam, right? And uh, so that is also very good. So that is the best way of transferring heat. Another device where you have to do this kind of analysis is that you're mixing two streams. By now you have figured out that heat coming from a high temperature source is good, better than heat coming out from a low temperature source, because the heat coming out from a high temperature source has more potential to do work, right? So high grade heat. So we can introduce the concept of high grade heat. So So if the temperature is high, we can call it a high grade heat source. This. So I mean that is good. It has a lot of potential to do work. So let us say we have some sort of a control volume where we have two streams are mixing. Right? Two streams are stream 1, stream 2, steady flow adiabatic mixing. What is adiabatic? Adiabatic means no heat transfer. You know these terms, right? Adiabatic mix. So no heat transfer from outside. So M3 is M dot 1 plus M dot 2, right? So there's mixing. So let us look at the, uh, you know, what is the second law efficiency of this mixing process. So here, so in this case, what the source that you have has this potential, right? So that means if this source that I have, if this source is goes to the dead state, then this is the work that we will get. If this source goes to the dead state, this is the work that we get. Environment is known, environment temperature, pressure is known, and this, if it goes to the dead state, this is the work that we can get. So we are evaluating everything in terms of its potential to do work. Right? If it goes to the dead state, so then this also becomes, this is what you are spending. Right? This is the gain. This is what we have gained here, spent and gain. So this ratio also again becomes this. So if you do this analysis, you will see. So this will become 1 minus. So this is the what is lost, right? This is the lost part. Lost part. Right. So this is how for mixing process we can calculate the this second law efficiency of this mixing process. Right. This is I think let us have a break. Right. It is becoming very boring. So let us have a break for uh, say let us have a 5-minute break. Right. We'll have a 5-minute break and we will resume after 5 minutes. Okay. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
right? Let us have a break for 5 minutes. So now let us do some small problem. Uh, Let's do a small problem. Now, one of the very good use of the second law is to find out the maybe the maximum work or if a process is feasible. So let us do a problem. I have a book in front of me. Let us do this problem. Now, let me read out. An inventor claims to have developed a refrigerator that maintains the refrigerated space at 2 degrees centigrade while operating in a room where the temperature is 25 degrees centigrade. And the refrigerator has a coefficient of performance of 13.5. Now, is this claim reasonable? Let us look at it. Can we analyze and say whether the claim of the inventor is reasonable or not? So let us try to figure it out. So you have a this is my system, which is the refrigerator, right? Refrigerator is operating in a cycle, right? Refrigerator. Refrigerator. So how does a refrigerator work? It gives out heat to a at a high temperature, right? And it takes heat from a right, and you consume work, right? And this is ideal refrigerator, right? Work is consumed, right? So this is the QH, and this is the no, this is let us make it dot. Right? Okay. Right. L. Here also let's put a dot, and here also let us put a dot. So here it says it is. So this is at 2 degrees centigrade, right? The room temperature is at the refrigerator space is at 2 degrees centigrade, and the environment is at 25 centigrade. Right? And the claim is that, what is the claim? Claim is coefficient of performance equal to, that is the claim, 13.5. What is coefficient of performance for a refrigerator? Refrigerator, what is the purpose of refrigerator? That you are going to transfer heat, take out heat from a low temperature source. So for a refrigerator, this is equal to, so what are you spending for a refrigerator? Right. So it is the work, right? Work. And what are you transferring? Q dot L. So this is what you spent. This is objective. Purpose, or we can write purpose. So here, when do you get the maximum COP? So if this is, when do you spend minimum work for a work consuming device? Right, if it is reversible. So this has to be reversible to get the uh, minimum, maximum COP. So W dot reversible is the minimum. Minimum. So what is W dot reversible? Is from energy balance. The reversible is, so whatever is right. So right is equal to So we are the ideal Carnot cycle. Right? This is the ideal Carnot cycle. This is the Carnot cycle, which is an ideal cycle, right? So for Carnot cycle, we know if we do the TS diagram also, if we do the TS diagram, what is the Carnot cycle for TS diagram? It's the Carnot cycle, right? So this is it's the other way. Do it correctly. So what is happening here? So there is loss right here. So there is this. So heat is lost means it is in this direction, right? Input, so it's increasing. This is the cycle. Cycle. Right? So this is the Carnot cycle. So we know Q dot L reversible by this is all reversible, right? This is all reversible. So we know that reversible, so that is why Q dot L this is I did it wrong. H. So this right. So that is why these things are valid. So now what is the COP of the refrigerator? So COP will be right will be equal to QL by this will be equal to 1 by TH by TL minus 1. So that is the COP, right, for a reversible process. And this is the best maximum that you can get. Maximum COP that you can get. So we know these temperatures. So we can write this equal to will be equal to 1 divided by right. So TH minus TL, that means 25 plus 273 divided by 2 plus 273 minus 1. So then you can get 12.0. This is the best that you can get. So the claim by that inventor that they are getting a COP of 13.5 is not possible, right? and actually, this is the ideal. What you will get is less than 12. So this is not feasible. This is not a feasible thing. The claim is not. So here, that means I'm showing you, although your the first law is fine, heat has been transferred, q dot is equal to q dot h minus ql, but so from the reversible Carnot cycle process, right? So from here, using second law, this concept of entropy, we have figured it out that the COP maximum is 12. Okay. So here we are able to see whether these claims are correct or not. Okay. So also, if I ask you what is the maximum work, right, that this device will consume, what is the maximum work that device will consume? Maximum work. So maximum work under this condition, W max will be equal to, right, can also be calculated from here, right? So per unit amount of refrigerator, right? If this is the mass flow, if I know the mass of the refrigerator that I'm using, so that also can be calculated. Can be calculated. Okay? If I know the maximum work that you need, so for example, if I have a room, right? In the room, if dot L is given, say I have a room and I know the number of occupants of the room, and I also know that what is the heat load, given out by every human being. So if you want to design, say a movie hall, a theater, or some kind of a hall, and you know the maximum number of occupants is say 200 that you can have at some point of time, and if you know the outside temperature, and if somebody tells you that every human being will give out this much of heat, and there will be lights, so much of light, so all the lights, total amount of heat giving out by the light, so that is the amount of heat that you have to remove from the refrigerated space. Then what will be the consumption, the work consumption uh, of the refrigerator, and that will be, so how much of power are you going to draw from the uh, electricity source. So uh, the minimum that you will require, right, not not maximum, actually it will be minimum maximum, there will only be minimum, can be found out, right? So what is W minimum? So W minimum, right, will be this W reversible will be equal to dot reversible, right? W reversible. So W minimum becomes W reversible. So this also you can find out what is the minimum work that you need to remove so much of heat from a space. Right? So minimum can be found out. So these are different ways by which you can use the second law of thermodynamics. I think let us end it here. What I will do is I will upload some problems of second law, and you have to try it out. Right? So I will upload that, and let us end it here. Right? Do you have any questions? Anybody has any questions?
The assignment deadline will be extended, na?
I will extend it to Tuesday, right? You want Tuesday? Is that fine? Tuesday?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
So I
sir.
will make it Tuesday. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.